Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker tonight is a woman who is considered a brand architect, a strategist, and a steward of art. Amor Maclang currently leads GeiserMaclang, an internationally awarded full-service marketing communications company that steers leading names in a diverse field of industries, taking over the top brands in real estate, lifestyle, pharmaceuticals, banking, telecommunications, and fast-moving consumer goods. She has spearheaded marketing campaigns that have garnered credit locally, including Anvil Awards, Quill Awards, and Tambuli Awards, and internationally such as the International Business Awards, or Stevies, amongst others. Amor has also pioneered PR-led marketing programs that have been greatly recognized and adapted abroad. Through creative collaborations, Amor connects elements that people have traditionally kept separate. Art and design are her non-negotiable creative inputs, differentiating and elevating both her process and outputs. Her panache, network, and skills make her an indispensable partner to Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our guest speaker, Amor Maclang.
Well, that's just simply too kind. I think for the most part, a lot of us are here for love of Tina, for love of Chicky, and for love of Vanessa. But I think what really brings us together is that most of us here are outsiders. And what I'm going to talk about, and I promise to keep it very short and sweet, is about how a lot of us, a lot of industries have actually been moved by people who think differently or have been outcasted, or as Malcolm Gladwell has put it, are outliers. Now, he was telling of how we built our own company 13 years ago. We're one of actually the youngest agencies in the Philippines. We are also one of the funnest at 70 full-time team members. But over the years, because while we dealt with a lot of number one, number two brands, from Ayala Land to Krispy Kreme to Havaianas, etc., the most satisfying projects have been with those who are considered outsiders and outliers. Now, what is an outlier? An outlier is actually an outsider who deals with aspects of an industry that the big and established actually don't want to deal with. I mean, take our president, for example, right? I mean, coming from the STI heritage, there is really nothing much more to prove. And yet, despite that, Vanessa has started her new heritage and her new culture here in Academy, but I will not preempt that because they have something brewing that's much bigger and I'm not allowed to talk about it. I noticed in my own career, if we have to tell you, we'll have to kill you, right? So, as I noticed in my own career, it wasn't until an organization is ready to come from an outlier's perspective that real industry level transformation can occur. Can you forward a few slides to the 5th slide maybe? Now we've seen this process from the inside, and the outlier approach is fleeting because once innovation becomes familiar, then everybody reverts back to the we know better stance and innovation grinds to a halt, right? So slide 6 please, can we jump into slide 6? All right, this is the first one, and I'm happy to see a long-standing friend and partner, Anton Diaz. I thought I saw Anton. There you go. Another outsider, and he loves it. He will always revel in the idea of being an outsider. We go back a long way, so much so na chismis na nga kami ni Anton eh. Hi, Rachel. Now, you know what I'm talking about. Now, as an example, I'm sure you're familiar with how in 2007, and I'm glad that Anton is here to talk about it, could talk to you about it. He and some of the pioneer bloggers in the Philippines like Noemi Dado, etc., attributed the first ever blogger engagement sometime, yeah, around 2007, wouldn't you say, to GeiserMaclang. As a matter of fact, if you Google GeiserMaclang, it's always, Anton's post will be one of the first ones. We pioneered this movement because we noticed that these bloggers were developing a large and potent readership, and their affinity and what they may have lacked in terms of, say, traditional journalism training, they more than made up for speed and intimacy and rapport with their audience. And I assure you, I was virtually and literally burned at the stake for that. But in hindsight, I'm glad that we made that leap. Because now, the idea, you'll notice that in recent times, the idea of engaging those in the blogosphere has become a staple for most marketing industries. Masyado na exciting slide. Go back to slide 7, please. Slide 7. Slide 7, please. There. Just keep it there. Now, a lot of the originality that first attracted both brands and also communications practitioners as myself may have disappeared, to the point that suggesting blogging isn't even considered a strategy. It's actually already a non-negotiable, right, in the field of strategic communications. Now, next slide, please. If any one of you has eaten a Toblerone bar or think that Jamba Juice, thank you, Marco. Marco said I lost weight now because of all the Jamba Juice I've been drinking. I'm supposed to say yes. Thank you. Hi, Marco. Or if any of you think that Jamba Juice is probably the coolest beverage since, wow, Starbucks. Or you've popped a pill caused by your bosses or your spouses and taken a Laksan. Or have become fond of the fast-talking, Facebook-talking Lola. Thank you so much for having kept me in business all these years. A lot of these brands may have been known, like Toblerone. Who doesn't know Toblerone, right? But in 2007, when we first took on this brand, it was absolutely impervious to advertising. Most of the brands that we've nurtured, with the exception of Bayan Communications, actually have not employed any kind of advertising. Most of them are too smart to employ advertising. Toblerone, for example, while it enjoys a 99-100% awareness ratio amongst the population, was continuing to attrition and plateau. And what we did was reframe the conversation from being what? A treat to being a thank you gift. And we did the same for Bayan. Our running joke is the full marketing budget of Bayan Communications is probably the coffee budget of Smart or Globe. But that's what, yeah, it most likely is. And since then, the intent at that time was to prime it to its maximum value, and I think part of our objective has been achieved. It's now been bought by Globe, right? Now, next slide. We've also done a lot of work in crisis and risk mitigation. And this is probably one of the more exciting projects that we've taken on the past 5-6 years. I remember when we, I remember just a few weeks back, I received a call around 9:30 in the evening one Friday, and I was called by a client who said, Amor, we need you. There's been an explosion in Sirendra. What is the normal reaction of most people when you hear an explosion? It's to what? Go back home and to bring yourself away from the point of explosion. And in my case, I had to be in ground zero in 30 minutes. So risk and crisis is inevitable in any industry. And whether it be Sirendra or managing a product pull-out in behalf of Havaianas. Now, the only reason why we're at liberty to be able to discuss this is because we've actually been interviewed for some of these brands at greater length. I think the key takeaway is risks and crises are inevitable in any business. Risks particularly in any industry that you're in. Now, as to whether you're going to allow it to graduate to an issue or crisis is entirely up to you. Good things happen. Sorry, bad things happen to very good people. And if you're a market leader, it's your responsibility to protect it. Tama, Anton? Right? Absolutely. No, Anton should be here and talking about that at great length. It's absolutely your responsibility. I'm very happy that there is someone here from Aboitiz Power, one of our clients. Although they have only had one serious public issue, which is the super ferry, I have to say they are one of the most risk-prepared companies in the Philippines. So you ought to talk to the nice gentleman from Aboitiz about risk and crisis. Then, interestingly enough, during the impeachment, we used a lot of technology to avert a bank run. And what we constantly say is that if you are not using technology in the course of your business, you are quickly going to go the way of a dinosaur. Quickly. Next slide, please. I just want to be very, oops, hang on. Mindanao. 2 days out of 7, 2 days out of 5. I'm usually in the Visayas and Mindanao because we've taken on a project that is meant to raise, is it 2.4 billion in investments for Mindanao, specific to southern Mindanao in the areas of tourism. The first thing that we had to take on was the reputational risks that came with it. And she's like, Amor, are you insane? I said, absolutely, that boat has sailed, right? I mean, if you know us by now, then you would know that boat has sailed. But the thing is, I think a lot of our points of obligation to our country revolve around Visayas and Mindanao. And we feel particularly invested in these two regions. Having been brought in by the Government of Canada and the local government to develop destination branding for South Mindanao, Leyte, Northwest Leyte, my partners are here, Iloilo, Guimaras, and Naga, the non-traditional outlier destinations. It really breaks my heart to see that the new normal is actually confronting our business realities and bringing in investment. So whether it's acts of God in the case of Bohol and in Leyte, or acts of men in the case of Zamboanga. But we are resilient and I know we will prevail. Now, final, next slide. But the biggest risk that I think most of us are unprepared to take on, and thankfully I'm working with visionaries in education, Tina, Chicky, and Vanessa, is that there are very few people who are actually recognizing the risks that come with what's going to happen in 2015. And this is the ASEAN integration. Last Saturday, I was actually with the former Director General Cayetano Paderanga. And this is actually what's occupying all my waking day and waking night, is how do we protect, for example, our local brands, particularly in flashpoint areas of agriculture, from fisheries to rice to sugar, right? One of our clients is one of the biggest sugar milling companies in Bacolod. How do we protect these brands from the onslaught of the opening up of a new market? Retail fashion brands are dying. They are, right? From the onslaught of your Uniqlo, your H&M, your Forever 21, they're quickly attritioning. It's going to be worse with agriculture. And yet, I was speaking to Mr. Paderanga. There has not been any institution that has taken on a comprehensive study on the implication of ASEAN to our retail brands, etc. I'm happy to note that this is already within the consciousness of the iAcademy people. Just so you know the kind of discussions that we usually have. Aside from the influx of the outflow of human resource all over ASEAN, there will be also an influx of people coming into the Philippines for certain areas that we might not be ready to compete in. Now, next slide. In countries like the United States, for example, there is a serious discussion that education is experiencing a financial bubble similar to real estate. What we pay exceeds its actual potential economic value, and that a collapse is imminent. The key to preventing this from happening in our own country lies in two things, and this is, I think, what occupies Tina's and Vanessa's and Chiki's every waking moment: occupation preparedness. So if there's any one thing that you take away from this evening, it's those two things. Whereas in the past, just having a degree in a desirable university made you competitive. Now, education has actually been expected to deliver, to augment your competitiveness in the workforce. And this, I feel, is really the future of education, at least from the prism that we're looking through here at iAcademy. I love acting like a teacher. Sabi ko nga, this is going to be, they're going to, fulfill my fantasies, no? My teacher-student fantasies, no? So thank you, Vanessa. The future of education is not about the medium of instruction, about gamification, or coming up with webinars and what else? Instructional technologies. That's already a given. Even, say, Professor Tony Lavinia of the Ateneo assigns degree in both IT and in law. IT and law. If you did that in the past, you would probably need a crystal ball to apply what you've learned, because you would have no idea what your career track would be. This type of position is not the kind of thing advertised in a job street. And if you are already working in IT, is Tom here? Tom? There's Tom. My gaming idol. And you had a career in law, you would be a potential thought leader. Someone who could talk about definitively about the legal ramifications of the modern wave of technology. So it's not about the medium, it's partly about the medium, instructional technologies, but it's also about the hybridization of courses. So from business and law to IT and law, environment and law, technology and risk mitigation. It's all about the coming together of these many disciplines. The era of education as silos is clearly over. So in conclusion, because I don't want to keep you from your network and your wines, I'd like to say that the job opportunities present to us today and tomorrow are actually not cast in stone. We need institutions that will be resilient and that will work and move as fast. One of the biggest dilemmas that I've had to confront is that we create innovation faster than execution can catch up. That's been my biggest frustration. We have a lot of great plans and insights that have heretofore been unsupported by either the framework of the client or execution. So one of the things that we've done is we've changed from an account management system to a project management system. Something that's usually just used in IT and also construction. And that's the challenge I want to throw back to everyone. Let's rethink and let's revisit how we do things and how we do business. You create jobs and industries not just based on your current economic need, but on the needs of our society. And I think with that, I just want to be able to say, you go, iAcademy. Thank you very much, guys. You've been an awesome audience.